Are you a people pleaser? Do you have codependency? Do you know that working on our wounded inner child can help overcome our relationship issues and learn to accept proper love and acceptance instead of accepting crumbs of love because we don't think that we deserve any better? So let's talk about your inner child, right? Carl Gustav Jung was a pioneer in the psychoanalytic world. Before the psychology world became obsessed with like SSRIs and antipsychotics as answers for everything, there was many success stories with psychoanalysis in psychology. And Carl Jung was one of these pioneers. And he believed that in order to heal, we needed to work on our subconscious mind, which is actually leading the show anyway, mostly. He believed that you needed to make the unconscious conscious before you were able to heal it. And a particular part of his teachings that I use in my own work with clients is the concept of archetypes. He believed we had these archetypes that could take the driver's seat in our lives until we face these aspects of ourselves in those archetypes that we were denying, right? And so one of these archetypes that I like to work on is the inner child. The inner child is our playful, innocent, creative, and often repressed part of ourself that represents our early years, right? Think of your inner child as all of the aspects of you before the world caused you to become jaded and cynical. The part of you that believed in love at first sight and soul recognition. The part of you that dreamed of going to the moon. The part of you that believed basically anything you were told, especially believed in the magical. So, how does your inner child get wounded, right? Your inner child began to develop when you were young and you were vulnerable. A wounded inner child can occur for many reasons, but most always stems from some sort of trauma. And trauma can include anything from neglect, abuse, abandonment, emotions not being met, teenage pregnancies, harsh judgment from caregivers, and even bullying in school, right? How we're treated as a child lays the foundation for our inner child wounding. So, if we're in a situation where we don't feel safe, okay, or our basic needs are not being met, then we will develop a wounded inner child. And there's many ways that this can happen. So let's just look at some of the signs of a wounded inner child so that you can determine if your inner child is wounded, okay? During our early years, we look at the world from like kind of an ego-ish perspective, right? You know, when your parents are fighting and you blame yourself. When your mother has an alcohol addiction and you feel like you're the cause of her drinking too much. But rationally, these views of the world around us are not exactly accurate, are they? Most of us have some inner child wounding going on because nobody really grows up in a perfect, stable, and trauma-free world. It's just not going to happen. But the thing is, once you realize that you are letting your inner child wounding take over your adult life, then you have a chance to work on the wounded inner child and heal that so that its control of your life can take a backseat. So let's look at some of the ways to determine if you have a wounded inner child. Number 1, you have an inner critic. Number 2, you're a people pleaser. Number 3, you have an avoidant attachment style. Number 4, you don't feel safe. Even if like you have, your security, you've got money and a roof over your head, but you still don't feel safe. Number 5, you strive for perfection, right? Often the straight A students were wounded inner childs, had wounded inner childs. And number 6, you were not close to one or both parents. If you have any of these signs, and you know that you need to work on your wounded inner child, then reach out and join my Healing Hive community. You will get to be a part of a group of people online and have weekly coaching calls with me. Click on the link to get started healing your inner child today.